Hello student, in this video I will explain you about the foundation of the British rule in India. Basically I will try to deal how the Britishers came in limelight and they entered in the political administration of India. For your first paragraph, it's all about the European trade in India. So I will explain you how in earlier times also the India had a trade in the West, that is your European country. It's given there. From time immemorial, India had trade relations with the countries in the West. These European trade was carried out by Arab merchants who bought things in India and sold these to the European countries. So you should remember that earlier also we had a trade relation with the Western world, that is your European country, but in between the Arabian people were there to have a trade business as a middleman. So but later on European merchants were trying to find out a route to India. Why? Because they wanted to have a direct trade with the Indian or the eastern part of the world. For that reason, the sea route was discovered, and you will get one of the name, that is Vasco da Gama. The line number 4 you can see, Vasco da Gama of Portugal reached Calicut in 1498 CE. So he was the one to come to India, and then Indian background, the environment and the trade related business was explored to the European world. Then your next paragraph is about the need for access to both resources, raw material and market was necessitated by the growing industry in Europe. So we all know in the industrialization process in Britain and other part of Europe, the raw material was needed, isn't it? So for that purpose, and the manufactured good has to be marketed. So for that all purpose, the demand and the need for the growing industry, so they needed the other things from the Asian country, and for that purpose the trade relation has to be established. The European merchant and trader form a trading company to trade with India and other parts of Asia and Africa. For that purpose, so these European merchant, they made small company, like as we have East India Company. So for that purpose, what happened, these countries, they made the company, and these company used to come to the Asian country and they had a trade relation. They made a kind of a marketing over in the Asian countries. Now next is your Portuguese settlement. The first European traders to arrive in India were the Portuguese. So you should remember, in India the Portuguese were the first to come to India, and they had a settled into the Calicut, that is your 1498. So last we have seen the in 1498 your Portuguese has arrived to India and they wanted to have a monopoly over the Indian Ocean. So we should also remember the headquarter for the was made the Goa, Daman and Diu, and they had a complete control over the western coastal part of the India. Established, and they established a monopoly. Monopoly means their complete control over the marketing of India. They had a complete control of trade of Indian market to the Europe. Now next you will see that the success of Portuguese trader prompted other European countries to set up trading companies for the trade in India and other parts of Asia and Africa. So you should understand, when Portuguese came to India, the other countries in the Europe, they also wanted to have a marketing and the trade relation with India. So they prompted, means they motivated the other country. For that reason, next you will see the Holland, England, France and Denmark. So you please underline, and you should note these names. These are important country which came in the marketing field, in the trading purpose with the connectivity to India. So these were the important trading companies. Now with the arrival of the other European companies, the Portuguese lost their predominance over Indian trade. So slowly what happened, when the other company came to India, that is Holland, British, France and Denmark. So what happened, slowly the Portuguese, they lost their kind of a monopoly, their dominance in the Indian market. Next is your Dutch East India Company. So you should understand, the Dutch is the Denmark which came in the limelight. They wanted to be again the trading, they wanted to have a trade with the Indian market. So the Dutch East India Company was established in 1602. Please remember the date, 1602. They established their center, or you can understand their warehouse or a factor. So it was more interested in the profitable spice trade with the island of East India. So they had much interest for the spices, as for India is very much famous all over the world, right from the early centuries back. You must have heard about it. So Indian spices were quite famous in the European market. So the Dutch were also had a keen interest to have the spices business in the Europe market. So in India, the Dutch set up trading centers. So please again underline all those points as the name: Masulipatinam, Nagapattinam, Chinsura and Cochin. These are the important places where the Dutch made their center, their offices were set up there. Okay, but the Dutch soon came into conflict with the British and were forced to move out of India. Now what happened? The British, the third party, first we have seen the Portuguese came to India, second were the Dutch, the Denmark. So these people also had their centers in India, that is Mosulipatnam, Nagapatnam, Chinnasora and Cochin. But what happened later on, again these Dutch people, they had a conflict means rivalry with whom? The Britishers. Again the Britishers want to have a complete control over the market of India, the raw material, and so they had a rivalry, conflict. Alright, next is your English East India Company. So English East India Company, they arrived in 1600 C and they had a setup in Surat, first factory, that is 1612. So this British company, they named itself as a East India Company. So it was a small group of English merchant and they got a grant, a charter by the Queen Elizabeth. So legally they got the permission to have a trade with the East, that is your India. A factory in those days was not a place where goods were manufactured, as now you all understand with the word factory, that the factory is a place where the things are made, people make the different kind of product like your clothes and other thing. But that earlier this factory had a different meaning, students should understand it. So what does it mean? It consisted of warehouse and office and a residential quarter. So it was a place where the officers were residing and a warehouse, the stocks were kept. They were so named as a company official, also called the factor, resided there. So the company members, officials, they were known as a factor, and that is why those areas were known as a factory. Now next is about the person who got the grant from the Jahangir. That was first person named Sir Thomas Roe. Please remember the name Sir Thomas Roe, who visited the court of Jahangir. So this was a Mughal time when he got the permission, and he obtained the trade concession for the company. So Sir Thomas Roe got the grant from the Jahangir and got the trading right. He got the permission from the Mughal Emperor Jahangir, and but one condition was that he will not fortify any of the area. Fortify means he will not make any of the fort and surrounding. He will not make a boundary over the area. So that was to check the Britishers. For that reason, the Mughal did not allow to fortify. Later you will see the English established trading center at several places, that is your Madras, and it became an important trading settlement. So British made the first settlement, that is the Madras, became the central point of all the kind of a trading purpose. Then in 1688, Bombay was transferred to company by King Charles II. Here you need to understand, Portuguese who came earlier India, they transferred this Bombay to King Charles as a dowry or annual rent of £10. So this is how British again got the control over the Bombay. Then next is what the company also established trading center at the Fort William in Calcutta. By 1700 C, the East India Company had established three important factories in Madras, Bombay and Calcutta. So here you should come to the conclusion that the Britishers now had a three control over India, first on the Madras, Bombay and Calcutta. Now next you will see there was in Europe a demand for Indian goods such as indigo, a blue dye. You must be knowing about the blue dye. It was highly in demand in the Europe. Then next was your saltpeter used for the gunpowder and handloom textiles. So these all things were in a great demand in Europe. So the Britishers wanted to have a trade and they were very much serious regarding this raw material. So Indian merchants flocked to the trading centers and East India Company carried on profitable trade. So the Britishers had a great profit having the marketing of these kind of item in the Europe. Then next you see in 1717 the Mughal Emperor Farooq Shah granted the company the right to carry on duty free trade in the Bengal, Bihar, Orissa. One more change came with the Farooq Shah. He granted the rights to carry free duty. So that means the Britishers were ready to have a free trade duty. The company made enormous profit and the Madras, Bombay and Calcutta became the headquarters of the English settlement in the southern, western and eastern region. Later you will see that the British set up the Fort William and established business contact with the Jagat Singh. So and later on that Fort William, the Calcutta presidency, so it was known as a presidency which was placed under the charge of a governor. So this is how the Britishers made a complete setup and they tried to make a base route in India. The French East India Company was formed in 1664 CE and established trade center. The important places you must remember, that is Surat, Pondicherry near Madras, and Chandranagar in Bengal, and Mahe near Mysore. So the year you have to remember, that is 1664. After the Britishers, the French also entered in the trading business of India. So the French East India Company was founded by the French government and its factories depended on the government support. One difference was here that in the British case, the East India Company was a private company, merchant group of merchant. But in the case of the French East India Company, it was directly controlled by the government of the France. So everything was given, all the related to the law and the legal document or the rule were passed by the French government only regarding the trading company. Next is about by the 18th century, the British and the French East India Company had emerged as the two major European trading company in India. So now during this time in India, two important companies were in the market, in the business, that is your British and the French. But the relation between the two was not a good one. They always had a rivalry, and the seed of rivalry was of in the Europe, where there also in Europe these two countries had a big fight. They were the competitors. So here in India or Indian overseas also, you will see a great rivalry between the two. So a conflict between the two companies over trade and power was unavoidable. The French and the English were equally determined to monopolize the flourishing trade with India. So both the British and the France, they both of them wanted to have a complete control over the Indian market, and that makes the reason for the a kind of an enmity just developed between the two. Next is your Anglo-French rivalry, which we will discuss later on, how they came to be a kind of a war type situation came here in India. So in Europe, the English and the French were rivals and fought several wars. There was a great rivalry between the two countries, that is the France and the Britain, and that was seen also in India. And the seed, we have seen how it happened in Europe. So of the three Carnatic War happened in India, we will just go with one by one. So the first Carnatic War. So reason for the war, what it was that since the Austrian throne, the succession for the Austrian throne, so it was a matter of Europe, but the rivalry was seen also in India. So this again they had a fight, and the France was represented by the French governor Dupleix. British were represented by the Lord Clive, and they wanted to control each other's important center. So you can understand, Dupleix and the French governor in India captured Madras, while British wanted to occupy the French settlement Pondicherry. So for that reason, the Britain just asked the help from the Anwaruddin, Nawab of Carnatic, to save Madras. But what happened here? The France, though they were small but disciplined army, they defeated Anwar. So what happened here? So indirectly the Britishers were defeated by the French people. But the peace was just made with the treaty. You can see the War of Austrian Succession ended in 1748 CE, and peace came in India as well. So as in the Europe the peace, so in India also the peace was made. Madras was given back to the Brit after this peace treaty. So thus ended the first Carnatic War without any gain on either side. The war, however, had raised the prestige of the French. It had also demonstrated the superiority of the Western method of warfare over that of Indian. Anwaruddin's huge army was defeated by a small French force. So we have seen how French became important in this kind of a situation and became an important one to gain control over the Indian region. The Second Carnatic War, it was a result of the English and the French interference in local politics with a view to making a substantial gain. So basically you will see that they wanted to interfere in the politics, and for the succession of the throne you will see a big rival enmity between the two. Dupleix had decided to use the army to establish a French dominance in the Deccan. Now France, they wanted to use their warfare, weapons and all to gain a complete control in the Deccan. The causes you will see in 1748. What happened? The ruler of both Hyderabad and Carnatic died. So the throne was empty and the ruler was needed. So in Hyderabad, a bitter contest, the fight to get the throne. Okay, for the throne ensured between the Nasir Jung and Muzaffar Jung. So there were two people to come. They wanted to have the throne of Hyderabad. But what happened? Nasir Jung was supported by the British. So British supported Nasir Jung and the French supported the Nizam's grandson Muzaffar. So now again there was a kind of a bitter fight for the people, because both of them wanted their people to be on the throne of the Hyderabad, because they wanted a puppet ruler to be on the throne of Hyderabad, so they can have a political benefit from the Hyderabad. So in the Carnatic, Chanda Sahib contested the claim of Anwaruddin to the throne. So now what happened? What is the event? What made the things to happen? Dupleix wanted to enhance the French power by taking side in this conflict between the rival. In this objective was to set a puppet government that would support the French against the British. So I have explained you how both of them wanted the puppet ruler to be on the throne, and they will just have their things to be done by this kind of a ruler. Then what happened? With the Dupleix help, Muzaffar Jung ascended the throne of Hyderabad. Nasir Jung was killed. Dupleix was handsomely rewarded. So now what happened? Dupleix just made Muzaffar Jung to the throne. He supported Muzaffar Jung, and Nasir Jung was killed. Okay, so this is the event which happened in the Second Carnatic War. A French force under the Bizi was stationed in Hyderabad. After Muzaffar Jung's death, Salabat Jung was put on the throne. Death, Salabat Jung was put on the throne. So what happened in return when Salabat Jung was put on the throne? He gave 4 districts in the Andhra region known as the Northern Sarkar to the French company. So this is how the French company used to get the benefit. They used to put the people whom they liked, they supported and put on the throne, and in return they used to get the money in the form of a district revenue and a huge sum. So this was a great benefit that the France got. Next you will see in the Carnatic also, Chanda Sahib with the Dupleix assistant. Dupleix is again the Britishers. So what happened here? Defeated and killed Anwaruddin, who was supported by the Britishers, and became the Nawab. Muhammad Ali, the son of Anwaruddin, escaped Trishnapalli. Chanda Sahib rewarded the French with the grant of 80 villages. Now again you will see how Dupleix, how French they were very much keen to control the Britishers controlled area. So that is why what they did, they killed Anwaruddin. Anwaruddin was supported by whom? The Britishers. So this is how they escaped, and Tiruchirappalli and all these area. What happened? Chanda Sahib rewarded the French with a grant of 80 villages. So all these things when happened, so Chanda Sahib just gave this amount of money, that is your 80 villages. 80 villages means the revenue of 80 villages was given to the France. Now next is what the French had achieved a tremendous success both in Hyderabad and the Carnatic. So when we see the first Carnatic War, second Carnatic War, so France was in a great benefit. French candidate had been put on the throne both the places in addition. So in that you have seen in the case of the Carnatic War, why it happened, that is a Nasir Jung case for the British, isn't it? So that time also they supported their own member to be on the throne. So Hyderabad was also one of the benefit area. French candidate had been put on the throne both the places. In addition, the French had got Jagir, huge sum of money, and the Northern Sarkar. The success of Dupleix did not go unnoticed by the English. They decided to install Muhammad Ali on the throne of Arcot. Robert Clive attacked. So what happened now? The third point where France wanted to put was what? Arcot. Again here, France wanted to put Muhammad Ali on the Arcot. Now everything was being watched by the Britishers. Britishers felt that France is becoming more powerful, so they wanted to stop that power. They don't want the France to become superpower over in India. So that is why Robert Clive took certain steps, and what he did, and captured Arcot, the capital of Carnatic. In the war that followed, Chanda Sahib was defeated, captured and put to death. Muhammad Ali was installed as a ruler. So all these events you have to remember. The French government initiated peace negotiations. Dupleix was recalled. Now what happened? The peace negotiation was tried to make, in which the governor of the France, that is a Dupleix, was called back. The Northern Sarkar was the only territorial gain that the French made after the Second Carnatic War. So here what happened? Only the benefit that the French government got was the Northern Sarkar. The Second Carnatic War restored British prestige and established their control over the Carnatic. So this is how British came again back to the limelight, and they gained the restored position as a brave merchant and a good merchant. The Third Carnatic War. Here we will come to know about the cause for the war. It happened because of, you can see, in the year 1756, 7-year war broke out in Europe. So this kind of a war effect can be seen in India also. So with the outbreak of hostility between England and France in Europe, the Third Carnatic War started in India. The French government sent Count de Lally to replace Dupleix. Clive was replaced by Sir Eyre Coote. So one great change that happened after the Second World War, Second Carnatic War. Here you will see the Third Carnatic War. What happened? Dupleix was replaced. Now another officer came, and he was known as a Count de Lally. So he was representing France, and from the British side again Lord Clive was also replaced by Sir Eyre Coote. Now what is the event that we have to understand? Lally wanted to capture the fort of Vendée, that is your Vendée. So France, that is your French people, French governor Lally, he wanted to capture the fort of Vendée, that is your Vendée, which was again, but he was defeated by Sir Eyre Coote in the Battle of Vendée. But what happened with the fight with the Britishers? The French were defeated, and that is the year 1760. Now what happened? What was the result of this Third Carnatic War? The war in India ended with the end of the war in Europe. So how this war came to an end? When this war ended in Europe, so it also ended in India. The French possessions were restored by the treaty, but they were not allowed to fortify them. So whatever the French had lost, they were given back. But again, what condition was given? That they were not allowed to fortify them. The boundary and the forts were not to be made. The French dream of establishing an empire in India was shattered. So with this kind of Third Carnatic War, the French, the one who wanted to establish the complete control in India, it was shattered. The dream was almost now came to the 0 point. The Northern Sarkar passed into the hand of English. So the Northern Sarkar, which had a complete control by the French people, it came into the hand of the English. We will now come to the reason for English success. We will come to know why the English became more successful in comparison to the France. First point deal with the English East India Company was a private enterprise owned by the British merchant capable of taking risks. The British government did not interfere in the affairs of the company. So first of all, only I have explained that the East India Company, that was a private group of merchant, and that was, they took the decision of their own. But in comparison, the French East India Company, on the other hand, was a government concern. So the French East India Company was controlled by the government. So there was a kind of a dispute within the company and the government. The French government was not willing to finance the company's heavy war expenses. So whatever the war was happening in India, the French government in France, they don't want to sponsor the money, or they don't want to invest the money, to finance the money, to give the money for warfare. Alright, number 2, the English company was financially much stronger than the French. So of course, you have seen in the first point, the French government were not ready to give the money, but in English company, they were financially more stronger, as it was a private company. After the conquest of Bengal, it had a huge resource as its command. The French company suffered from a lack of resources. So after the gain of the Bengal area, the Britishers got the good amount of revenue, so they had no problem of money. But when you compare with the France, they were having the lack of resources. Point number 3, the superior naval strength of the English contributed enormously to their success. So naval means their navy. Navy means again the sea route. They had a complete control over the a kind of a sea. That means the movement of the ship and the things by the sea route. A strong English navy helped the company to bring reinforcement from home. Moreover, their supplies landed at their naval base in the Bombay. So what happened when they had a good command over the sea route? So they could have many resources they can bring from Britain to Indian region for the warfare. The French naval base in distant Mauritius caused considerable delay and put them at a disadvantage. Point number 4, the French general quarreled among themselves. So you will see in the French official, they were fighting among themselves only regarding the decision, regarding the Britishers. But the English general offered united resistance to the French. But in comparison to the British, their officers were disciplined and they were united together. So there was hardly any coordination between the French army and the navy. So the French army, so the kind of a dispute, whenever we get divided, the things are not sorted out. The things become more problem are created over here. So this is what happened here. The French suffered a lot because of disunity. Number 5, the recall of Dupleix proved disastrous to the French. So we have seen how Dupleix was replaced by Lally, and possibly he alone could have given the leadership which the French company urgently needed. So when Dupleix was replaced, and after that the things got more worse, the French never came back to the position, and this was a big loss for the France.